Um, all right, so these couple of lines, I think we spent a lot of time on it because they are subtle, as everything. It's extremely important to differentiate and to understand these principles. And I hope that it is clear. Yesterday, I think we spent the whole time just to review these couple of lines. What do we mean? It is mufmeilum, it can be mislabish and kalim, and what is the moki for this haora? That there is a madrege, which is also a haora, but that haora itself is not mislabish and kalim, because it's a haora that reflects the essence, the whole reality. It's only a reflection of it, but and therefore it cannot be mislabish and kalim. But from that can be nimshach a haora that can be mislabish and kalim, and I think we explained this extensively.
And just a quick question concerning that. Yesterday we were speaking about the idea when you communicate with a person, the idea whether you're communicating with a person or you're communicating with his ears and his mouth, like the part of him which is, we kind of like use the human body, the human being as a muscle, and said when you break down the human being from his kind of how he appears to you to when you see him in the mirror, and it's just kind of like a conglomeration of parts, that's the part which is mislabish and kalim. It seemed to me like we were saying like the part which is mislabish and kalim is the part which is indistinguishable between the way that a human being looks at it and the way that a cat looks at it. Like the cat also sees that same aspect of the world, that there's no simcha hall, there's just tables and chairs. There's no human being, there's ears and mouth.
That's correct. Except the human being, of course, can connect it back to the whole, and the cat does not have it. To say always not have it. But yes, indeed, it is entirely correct to say that my hand moved this cup. A cat would say, "Get your hand away from here! You're moving the cup." A human being would say, "Don't move the cup." You understand? But it is correct to say, "My hand is moving the cup." That's the Yislapshus. Behind this hand, there is the rotzen, the will, and you are addressing the will of the person, the decision. This is intellect. Why are you moving the cup? But Abhema doesn't see that. Abhema sees the hand that moves it. You had a question, two questions yesterday.
No.
That's how you introduced me yesterday. Okay, no questions. All right, so again, we are back to the line that begins Shenim Shacha Ha'ora. This is approximately 10 lines from the bottom. Kuf Ayin Aleph. Or this or refers to the fact that when we started talking about the cognizance that we can have in the oir hamufla mihoelamis, oir that is remote from oelamis, this is the oir hasevet. So we said that could be, that knowledge could be either just in mitzias, that we know that there is such a mitzias. We do not have an inkling as to the madrege itself, the essence of it, but we know that such a mitzias exists. From this oir hamamale, we know that such a mitzias exists. Or the knowledge of this mitzias is in a different level. Not just the knowledge that of the Oyed HaSeviv is not just in the mitzias, but in a more meaningful manner, on a higher level, which is the Bechinas idea in an aspect of idea of knowledge, be'oifen hahaflo. Be'oifen hahaflo means why, to understand and to be able to relate to the haflo element in that oir. Hafloa means in its supremacy, in its remoteness. In other words, it's clear that oir hasoivev cannot be grasped by seichel. As we pointed out many times, that grasp, the first prerequisite for grasp is that you should be able to go beyond it and grasp it by its external contours, its external boundary. If you cannot go beyond it, there's no way that you can grasp it. Oir HaShovev is bli gvul, and thus you cannot go beyond it. There's no, the whole concept of grasp by seichel doesn't exist there. So what is the inyan that we say that there is the knowledge, the hasogo, in Oir HaShovev, that as a result of recognizing the Oir HaMemale, we can also come to recognize the inyan from Oir HaShovev. The only thing that we can recognize, and it is a significant recognition, and that is be'oifen ha'haflo. We can have a perception, we can have an idea of the haflo, of the supremacy aspect of this Oir HaShovev.
Yediyah means seichel.
Yediyah is in seichel, right?
So, you can have you can be masig in the Oir HaShovev with your seichel, one aspect of just one aspect.
Well, we'll say the principle of haflo. Haflo means remoteness, supremacy. That term itself implies that there's a contrast. You're comparing it to something. So in terms of contrast, yes, you can have a hasoga, but you're not having a direct hasoga in it. But in your haflo, you mafli it. That we'll see now in a minute. And again, as I point out, even though it would seem that you only know the periphery, it's an extremely significant knowledge. That after that, we know and masigim as oir. We are masig. We actually have a grasp and understanding of the oir habo bebchinas hislapshus, and the oir that actually can be brought down in a hislapshus manner, which we already know that hislapshus means that the oil becomes fully grasped and identified with the keli. Like, for example, the koyach ha-nefesh of movement, and you have koyach ha-tnuah. Koyach ha-tnuah becomes imbued in the hand, and it's inseparable. We understand the koyach ha-tnuah through understanding the hand. So once you masik the oil habo bebchinas hislapshus, it is important to learn these words. Otherwise, we will not be able to go to the next words. Masigim ha'oir habo bebchinas hislapshus. When you see a hand moving, it is important. This is what we spoke about, the human perception. It is not the hand that's moving. There is a koyach in the hand that enlivens it and is expressed to the hand, to the movement of the hand. Not only is there a koyach in the hand, this koyach is not exclusively, it's not a body koyach, that if you set it in motion, the hand has to move. That's not the way a hand moves. A hand does not move impulsively. A hand moves with full human control. At every instant, beyond instant, the entire reality of it, there is a rotzing that is imbued in it. There's a sense of its life element. Even though it's just a plain simple movement. So when we say that we understand the Oir HaMemale, even though we say this Hislapshus, but as a result of this Hislapshus, as a result of this Oir becoming so minimized to the point of being identified in a single function, in a limited function, Mislabish in a Keli, there we can have a real grasp of the oir, but that's what we need to be able to focus, not on the physical movement of the hand, but on the oir that is enlivening the hand. We have to understand that there is oir. Again, definition of oir. Oir draws along with it the ma'oir. There is no oir without the ma'oir. Even as we understand that, even as we speak about the physical light from the sun, so the light extends itself and it's light that's illuminating the world, not correct. It is the sun that's illuminating the world. And when we have light here from the sun, the oir tells you, listen, it's bright because the sun is here, not because I am here. And this becomes even more evident an experience, as we pointed out when we learned about the Oir Hayoim. The Oir Hayoim is really a solar level of light, not the worldly level of light. Oir is self-effacing. In other words, it's not the mitzvahs in the real sense of the word. This is why it's called oir. It illuminates. It gives you a real perception of reality, not just its mitzvahs. And this is what we're saying, that the oir hamamale, again, coming back to our muscle of the hand, when we see a hand moving, we see a living neshama, an intent, a human being, on a minimal level, but it is a full life element. This is what we're focusing on. This is what we comprehend. We comprehend that there is a focus and a life in the person that is very focused, very intent, very meaningful, to the extent the way that it can be identified on the smallest, on the minuscule level.
I thought we just finished discussing the idea that the light, which is in Slavish and Kalim, for instance, the Keach and the Yad, the whole point is that it doesn't bring the Etzim with it. That it's a Ha'ara Levad. And therefore we only logically know of the Neshama because we say, well, it can't be Etzim which is moving the hand, and the hand can't move itself, so there has to be that which is the kind of the air which is an intermediary. So how can we say at the same time we're looking at the hand and we're knowing the nefesh?
Knowing the nefesh, what we said before, this is why I repeated those few lines several times. The etzim cannot be mislavish in world. We're not talking about etzim, we're talking about oir hamamale. What are you talking about etzim? What's the answer? The answer is that the ha'ora from the etzim brings the etzim along with it. In what way? It's not the etzim. It reflects that there is a whole person. What is the human being about? Not what is the hand about or the foot about. That cannot be mislavish in Keli. But and what can be mislabish in kelim? A ha'ora of that, a subset of that, which is what what is the hand about? But that comes from the same from the mokir, from the ha'ora that originally. In other words, yes, indeed, we understand the hand, but we also know that the hand does not function independently. So there we see the koyach in the hand, and indirectly that points to the whole.
Indirect.
Indirectly, yeah, that's why, because directly it would not be able to be made to be slavish. If you want this cup to move, it's not going to move. If you want this cup to move and you direct your hand to move it, it will move. But the hand will not move without the rotzen giving it the impulse to move. The Frierdiker Rebbe had this expression. He once said that the sin is committed by the hand. But when you get a patch, you patch him upon him. When you give a smack, you smack in the face. Even though it's the hand that committed the sin. He said it regarding never, the tzoras that we suffered in the Second World War were the best in the, so to speak, the holiest of our nation were put in crematoriums. This is the point. They didn't sin. The hand and the feet sinned, but who gets the smack in the face? Because really, it's inseparable in the real sense. But nevertheless, it comes in a reduced level so that it can be mislavish. But we understand that this islapshus is a transposition of the whole in a camouflaged way. Okay. So therefore, I'm pointing out, we have to always remember that there is an oir that's bihislapshus. It's not just the keli. We see just the keli because the keli completely usurps, so to speak, the situation. But it's not the keli that's doing it. It's the oir that's in the keli. And that's what we call oir. Not even the koyach that's manipulating and force and moving the hand. It's an oir from the Yetzer, because without the will, nothing can occur. So that in this islapshus, you want to write a letter. Now tell the hand, write the letter. I want you to write the letter. No way. You have to want to write this particular letter, ois. And if you cannot focus on this ois, you cannot write. Writing a letter entails several levels. It is, I have a message to give to this person or whatever it is. And I have a certain, I format the message in my mind, how I want to produce this message. And then I have to format the words and the letters that comprise this word. If I cannot reduce, so to speak, this rotz to the point of the letter that comprises the word, I cannot write. I can dictate it, but I cannot write.
That light which is mislabish and kalim, and its connection to the ratzain, to the way we explained ha'ara levad. Because
Ha'ara levad.
but if it has within it a sense of ratzain, because the marker of this is when we're speaking human being, it's ratzain, and the ratzain has it in a sense of etzim. So then it seems like you can trace it back to etzim. Mashenkin, before we said ha'ara levad, it doesn't bring any of the etzim with it. It's totally not like that.
The letter that the letter that you write is something which is of your. It's a message that encompasses your will. This is what I want to. This is a message. Okay. This is my message. The fact that you're transmitting this message to this person is a separate level. Do you understand that?
No. This fact that I'm transmitting it to a person is a separate.
It's a separate level.
Separate level. Okay.
Yes.
There's the fact that I want to write something. The fact that I'm going to give it to.
There is the idea that is formed in your mind and your nefesh, and then there is the idea that you want to transmit this to this person. These are two separate levels. Then there is, as you said, the formatting of it. This is called a. Okay, this is the first snooze. This is where you, as a human being, want to contact and correspond with this other human being. But corresponding already incorporates, the details in the method of correspondence. Although the focus over there is not the method of correspondence, but the person-to-person element.
No problem. Here you are.
This is the first ha'ara. That is not a ha'ara levad. I'm sorry, I didn't know because no. Who is this?
Shlomo Banda.
This is a ha'ara of the whole etzim. It's not a ha'ara levad because this ha'ara actually has the full human element in this. When this comes down to writing a letter, there is also the part of the Rotz Ha'od. But in there you don't see the whole human being. That the insight of that formulated that caused him to want to correspond. You only see this reduced level. This is called ha'ara levad. There's a Rotzen Hodem to write this letter, but there isn't the whole person in there, as it doesn't represent the ahava v'yira that is contained, that enticed this whole correspondence. There is no action that is totally devoid of Rotzen.
I guess my question is do we know that there's Rotzen there inside Enya Seichel? We can say we know as a human being, because we have a human perspective, a human being can't write if not for the fact that it is a Rotzen to do. Because everything in the human being is guided by Rotzen. It's not actually when we investigate the light itself, the air which is mislabish, the kayat, the yad, the ksiva, we don't see there any Rotzen. We see a technique.
No, we see Rotzen. But I said to you before, the hand does not act robotically. A hand, a normal, healthy hand, that a person is in full control, acts in a perfect, smooth manner, because it is constantly controlled by the rest. And it can stop at the dime is like a mile, instantaneously. There is a Rotzen, but not the Rotzen that represents the whole person. The Koyach HaRotzen, that is a subset of subset and of subset.
So the Ratzing there does not represent the entire person.
I'm sorry?
The Ratzing which we do stand, which in Slavic Kalim, is not the Ratzing which represents the entire person.
No.
And that's why it's a horror about.
It's a horror of that. But this horror is a horror of that, horror of that. If you want to communicate with your friend, there's an element of ahava, there's an element of real connection. But in the actual action, there is a subset of this Ratzon. I want to write this letter. You have to be able to focus on this action. Okay, so once Yedim Asigim is Ha'oir, Habo B'Bchinas Hislapshus. This is Oir, but this Oir is Bo B'Bchinas Hislapshus. It can be mislavish in a keli and totally engulfed by the keli, embraced by the keli. So then, Harayonu Shoilim as Ho'atzmus. So then we can go ahead and shoilil and negate and separate the atzmus meifane hagiluyim from these manners of giluyim. We say that these giluyim that come in his lapsus bekelim, in atzmus, that doesn't exist. And therefore, okay, let me just continue and finish the point. Shalidei zeboyin, whereby we come lidei idiyo to a state of knowledge, be'oifen ha'haflo de'oin sof baruch, in the manner of how the Ein Sof is mufla from world, u'bebchinas ha'korah, and not only a idea, so to speak, a knowledge that we can describe it, but we have an element of Hakora. Hakora we will discuss in Mitzvah another time. I don't know, tomorrow if we get to it. But Hakora means a personal recognition, cognizance. Like we say, if you know a person, you recognize somebody. Recognition is way beyond knowledge. Recognition denotes a personal knowledge, not a seichelic knowledge, but a personal knowledge. To recognize a person, it is necessary that one can relate internally to that person. If one only knows the person, he can know that this is the person. Recognition means that this person has made an imprint, an internal imprint, and he finds this person, so to speak, in his experience, in his nefesh, and that's how you recognize him. Oh, this is that. That's a very profound knowledge, even though it's only half-lore. Okay, and now we have to take a break. Bits and pieces, that's how it comes. So have a good day. Oh, there's nobody by me here.